Hello viewers, my name is Olaumi Temitayo-Hannah. I am a psychologist working with Arogi Trauma Care Foundation. Welcome to Health Her. Today we'll be discussing an interesting topic known as simple psychological approach to handling grief. Grief is something that is part of our everyday life. Grief is love out of nowhere. Grief is a natural response an human feels to loss. Now, this loss could be any form of, it could be the loss of a dream, the loss of a job, the loss of a loved one. But grief is something that is part of an human's natural day-to-day life, and one that we must learn to coexist and learn proper metrics to handle and live by. An example is a person losing their mother and the person heading to work, and on the way to work, due to traffic lights or traffic frustration, just busts out crying. For such a person, everyone looks at such a person and feels like, why are you just crying out of nowhere? But that person, having lost a mother, is giving natural response, which is dealing with grief, and at that point it becomes overwhelming and they do not know how to handle their emotion. For such a person, there are certain ways and measures that he or she can take to handle and live with the grief better. We have two helpful models that helps when handling grief, and it is safe to understand these models so that we would understand what you are actually experiencing better. The first is known as the 5 stages of grief. The 5 stages of grief are known as the denial stage, the anger stage, the bargaining stage, we have the depression and acceptance stage. When a person loses something, the initial response is denial. At that point, your state of mind is yet to really grasp or understand what has happened to you. The moment you start to let it sink in, you start to feel more overwhelming emotions such as anger. Anger sets in, and you get to start feeling irritation as to what is going on around you. Then you start to bargain. In the bargaining stage, this point you're trying to get used to or get around with what you are feeling exactly. Now, when this grief becomes overwhelming, it starts to become depressing. At this point, you're getting sad, you're getting really down, and your emotions, you cannot really handle how you're feeling anymore. Then we move to the acceptance stage. Now, when grief gets to this stage, at this point, you have finally accepted what has happened to you. Now you understand that, okay, I just lost something major is not working out, or something major or something that has been a part of me for the longest is gone. The second model is known as the dual process model. In the dual process model, we have the loss-oriented. The loss orientation or loss-oriented simply means that when a loss or you've experienced a great loss, allow yourself feel. Allow yourself feel the emotions, allow yourself feel the sadness, feel the down moment. Do not beat yourself so hard. Experience each of these major roller coaster of emotions that you are feeling. Ventilate out. Do not allow yourself be in that place where you feel like you can't show emotions or you want to trap it in. This model helps us to understand that it is okay to let your emotions out. Let yourself feel exactly what you're feeling. Wear your emotions on your face. It is totally fine. The second part of this model is known as the restoration oriented. At this stage, after you have allowed yourself feel and ventilate your emotions, then you begin to call yourself back to order. At this point, you begin to pick up basic tasks you do. You start up from your bed, you start wearing a smile, you start taking bit by bit steps to start getting your life back together, having gone through ventilating your emotions. There are 5 tips we are sharing today on how to handle grief better. The first is name your feelings. Psychologists will call this emotional labeling. When you name your feelings, when you can boldly say, oh, I feel sad, I am not happy, I am currently at a state of loneliness. When you can boldly talk about or express exactly how you feel without fear, without feeling ashamed, without feeling like you're a burden or you're disturbing others, these first steps is headed towards a way of handling your grief better. The number 2 is breathing through it. Breathing through it means that you obey the 4-4-8 process of the 4-4-8 breathing model. Now, the 4-4-8 breathing model simply speaks of when you feel overwhelmed or you feel emotionally down or you feel like your emotions are overbearing at that point, you could just do this simple breathing process whereby you exhale for 4 seconds, you hold your breath in for another 4 seconds, then you wait for 8 seconds to let out the breath slowly. When you do this, you help your body regulate back and help your emotions regulate. Number 3, take small steps. If you experience a major loss, especially if it's dealing with the loss of a loved one, and you just stopped living, you could start by picking up bit and bit of your daily chores or routine back, like standing up at an exact time to brush your teeth, eat breakfast at a particular time, take walks, start to resume work, start to take care of yourself, make new hairstyle, take bit and bit of steps. Another one is creating meaningful rituals. Creating meaningful rituals simply means that if there were things you were doing with a loved one or you were doing before a loss of a job or a major deal, like for example, if you have a lost one, for example, the loss of an husband, if you guys will wake up in the morning to pray, you have times where you sing together and all of that, start to create this meaningful ritual bit by bit back just to feel their presence. Understand that they might not be with you physically, but you can still experience some of the joyful times you guys had together. The last one is connecting with people. Connecting with people is very, very important. It is easy to lock away in isolation when experiencing grief. You want to coil up somewhere and not experience or not share exactly how you feel with others. But when you start to connect with people, small talks in itself could actually release oxytocin to your brains and then make you feel refreshed and much more agile. When grief starts to feel heavy, when you have isolated yourself for too long, when the burden becomes too heavy to carry, it is time to seek help. At this point, you cannot get well or get back into your normal routine by yourself. So you reach out to professionals to get adequate help to get you back on track. You can reach out to us, Arogi Trauma Care Foundation. We can offer you the perfect help you need to get back on track. Understand that grief changes us. Understand that it doesn't have to break you. So be gentle with yourself. Healing is not forgetting. It is learning to live again. Thank you for joining us today again on Health Ha. My name is Olaumi Temitayo Hannah, and I am with Arogi Trauma Care Foundation. You can contact us for more information and help on 080 000 100020.